Yay.
And here we are. Welcome, Katrina Liwanag to the KuyaChris and Friends podcast. Shout out to Katrina Liwanag because my logo picture was originally taken by you. So could you please bless the mic first, as I like to do here on KuyaChris and Friends, with some of your creativity before we dive into a little bit about you.
So we're doing it now.
Yes. So we start it off. Usually that's how we run it.
Okay.
The first opening is just the awesome creative side. So I know you, Katrina Liwanag, as a singer. You've rapped as well.
Yes.
But you got vocal chops like no other. So let us get that on to the digital world. We've got the recordings going. And please bless us. What are you going to do?
Hi, I'm Katrina. You can just call me Trina.
Trina, okay.
And I didn't know I was going to start now, but this song was... Oh, yes. So I was the one who took a picture of Mr. KuyaChris's photo for the logo for this very podcast. Before I go into the song, just letting them all know that we were in the Philippines, and it was before he was going to a different region in Mindanao. We were leaving Visayas.
Yep.
Tacloban City, about to go to Mindanao, and I was like, oh, let me take a picture of you.
And then it was clean. It looked good. And then that's what I had converted into cartoonish, illustrated as the professionals like to call it.
Illustrated.
And then vectorized as specifics.
I said, what did I say? Cartoonized? I don't know if that's a word.
But that works. Cartoonize it. And then now it's my logo, which I have actually a sticker for. For my guest.
Mm-hmm.
So, please, what are you going to perform for us?
Oh, yeah. So, as I was saying, last year we went on a trip to the Philippines, an exposure, like a broad exposure trip to the Philippines with Kapit Bisig Kabataan Network, which in translation means Youth Linked in Arms. And that was my first time going to the Philippines. So for those who have listened to my music, there was a rap that I composed before leaving. And it was called Home. And it was more so me longing for a chance to go to the Philippines. And when I came back, this longing sort of just transformed, not really just a longing to understand my identity or like to understand my heritage, but really a longing to be with our kababayan in the Philippines again. When will I see them again? The ones who have touched my life forever, who are a part of that journey. And still are, even though I'm back here in the States. So this song is dedicated to those in the Philippines, the millions of Filipinos overseas in other countries, as well as other folks of color that are, continuously struggling it out collectively in other communities of color to find freedom. And the majority of those people are like, we're trying to understand that we're all connected. Whether we're in Africa.
So like a tree.
Or
like a root system.
Or in the Middle East, or in the Philippines, in Central America, in Australia, and here in the belly of the bush.
Antarctica?
Yeah. Just kidding. Yeah. They're important to you. Just kidding. I don't know if anyone lives there. I don't think so. Okay. So yeah. So this
song, yes.
Yeah. So this song is dedicated to home again.
Okay.
But yeah, hope you like it. They think it's so easy for them to make you lose. Work hard to make us forget that our fates were all set up, and say we got the right to choose. Choose to provide, choose your future, every person for himself. Make me forget my brother while they taking our wealth. People didn't just resist so we can feel the same pain. Gotta educate to change the game, 'cause united ain't no way they gon' tear us apart. 'Cause our people taught us how to build home in our hearts. If you feel this, throw your left fist up so they see we're down. Stand and rock, we miss you right now. You love with your soul and liberate us all. For those at the top, prepare for the fall. Surrounded by faces on this sacred ground. Stand and rock, we miss you right now. You love with your soul and liberate us all. For those at the top, prepare for the fall. We're stronger together and we are one sound. Stand and rock, we miss you right now. Ask a Luma child what the fate of their lives will be. They'll say accessible education will lead them to prosperity. But these so-called leaders serve the money, not the people, don't you see? 'Cause there's mining and there's logging, the terrorist police. Corporate interests taking space where the youth want to be free. They're so young but they already see. 'Cause united ain't no way they gon' tear us apart. 'Cause our people taught us how to build home in our hearts. If you feel this, throw your left fist up so they see we're down. Mindanao, we miss you right now. You love with your soul and liberate us all. For those at the top, prepare for the fall. Surrounded by faces on this sacred ground. Mindanao, we miss you right now. You love with your soul and liberate us all. For those at the top, prepare for the fall. We're stronger together and we are one sound. Mindanao, we miss you right now. Your sisters crying out from Palestine to the town. Your brothers crying out. We must protect this land, but how you keep crying out, Lord? We must fight for rights right now. Your soul is crying out. We will keep coming round. You love with your soul, then liberate us all. For those at the top, prepare for the fall. Surrounded by faces on the sacred ground. Mindanao, we miss you right now. You love with your soul, then liberate us all. Surrounded by faces on this sacred ground. We're stronger together, we are one sound. Mindanao, we will keep coming round. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. From Palestine to the town, your soul is crying out. We miss you right now, Mindanao.
Fire! Fire! Oh, Inet!
It is Inet.
because of the fire. Hey,
No, it's just in it.
so that was your original writing.
Yes.
Are you gonna do another piece?
Who knows?
Yes.
Maybe.
Oh, so you're good for that for now first. For now. Okay. Then we can chop it up. We can talk
Chop
a little
it
bit.
up.
Chop we can talk a little bit about what inspired that. Your writing, your music, and just chop it up a little bit. Can you move the mic a little bit where this part? Okay, there, somewhat like that.
Thank you.
So that there's this thing blocking your face, like right in the middle. Hey, how's it going?
That
How's
would
it
have been
going?
nice before I sang.
Oh, it's a different direction from the camera, so at least
so you- like
so
this.
just like
Yeah.
right here. So I'm just looking. Oh, okay, there's my guest. So.
Your gift.
My KuyaChris and friend. Today you are my friend, my guest. Okay. Anyway, the song. Tell me a little bit about it.
Okay.
What inspired it? Why I've seen you perform that a few times.
Yeah.
Why do you like performing it and all? Give me a little backstory on the song itself.
Well, okay, so giving it like a little bit of a context for those who've never been to the Philippines, because it was my first time. And you know, it was like when you've been on the trip, it was your second time. So you've seen the conditions like when you went for the first time. So for me, it was almost like a culture shock, maybe the first few days. And I think upon coming back, this song was not written yet. And upon coming back, I experienced what was like almost a reverse culture shock, a reverse like anger almost, or just like feeling of disappointment. Because I think though we know that the conditions have been very unjust in the Philippines, like you still see somewhat of this like strength and like unconditional love of the communities we visited, and almost like this hunger for true happiness and like true freedom. And I think that upon coming back, I not only was I yearning to be around that, but it's like, you know, the fact of the matter is our conditions are like we're not millions, thousands of miles away from the Philippines as FilAms, right? So it was more of a piece that I wanted to write in the hopes that it would touch a community so deeply that we would want to create this sort of hunger for freedom here.
So just rewind context a little bit. When you're saying that was your first time and that was my second time, this is a community trip organized by KBKN, what you were saying. And then the trip itself takes us around to, you want to explain?
Yeah, so different regions in the Philippines throughout the three main islands, Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. And this song particularly was emphasized for Mindanao. So we were mostly integrating through the trip with peasant farmers, because the Philippines is 75% peasant class. It's really a lot.
The statistics.
No, it's true, you know?
Yeah,
like,
yes.
so I'm making fun of it. It's true.
But it's true too.
Statistics.
It is true. That's a stat, right? That's a statistic.
Yeah.
That's
It just
true.
sounded funny when you said it. Like, statistics. But yeah, so we were mostly with peasant farmers. Were some workers, some when we were separated, our delegation was like more than 20, so some of them got to see the fisher folks. I wasn't able to do that. I was kind of jealous. But then also integrating specifically in Mindanao was indigenous people. So like of the Lumad in Mindanao, different indigenous tribes or indigenous groups of people. A lot of them living in the countryside. And I think what really also reminded me that this song needed to be written, like one of the lines where I say, like, taking space, like corporate interests taking space where the youth want to be free. So setting up the context for that line, a lot of the children that we visited from Luzon to Visayas to Mindanao, whether they were indigenous or not, they're experiencing some sort of halt in what they need, be it like food, water, basic things, education especially, because of the interests of like corporate interests. Like there's a lot of like mining going on, a lot of logging for a lot of corporations, hence and then a lot of militarization in those communities, which kind of, not just kind of, it makes the communities unsafe for the kids. So it's like, I think the fact that we live here in the US, we have this access to so much information, and especially with like social media, right? We have so much access. But at the same time, we have like this firewall. We live in the firewall wherein we don't know what it's like to be heavily militarized. Like the closest would be like a lot of our comrades that, experience like militarized police in our communities, in urban communities. But in the countryside where there's military always monitoring your movement and where you go, I don't know. I think I just wanted to make this piece so that people know that that's happening in our homeland.
So, and it's very like timely because right now, actually, in Mindanao, there's martial law.
Yeah.
And then there was an event at Filipino Community Center, shout out, FCC.
Yay! I'm a volunteer there.
Cool. 2 days ago, they had an event where they had folks from the Philippines talk, like through video chat and everything, about, hey, what's going on now on the ground now that there's martial law.
Yeah.
And then Pele, shout out to Pele, gave like a little comparison. Was that from a
I feel
drive?
like you shout out Pele every podcast.
No, I don't. I've never shouted him out. I don't think.
Yeah, you've shouted. But that's good that it's good that you're shouting it out. But dang, like at least 2 or 3, you've been like shout outs to Pele. Salugpungan International, shout out to Pele. FCC, shout outs to Pele. Kabataan, shout outs to Pele. It's like somewhat shout out to Pele all the time.
I miss you.
It's okay to miss people.
No, but he was sharing about how
he was on video chat.
Yeah, he was on video chat.
Oh, yay.
He was sharing how a drive comparable to San Diego to the Bay Area, Davao to wherever he was going, he ran into or saw at least 10 heavy militarized checkpoints. Like, so imagine driving on the 5.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
And then just every stop, like Coalinga, Kettleman City, every single spot would have a checkpoint, like 10 of those.
And even considering like where you'd be, depending where you are, like traffic, it's like, you're not even really traveling that far. Like, when you think about like on the I-5, you're traveling like 80 miles per hour. And
true.
You think about how fast you're like, another checkpoint. Another checkpoint. It's like not even that far away. Yeah. Probably like 5 kilometers. Like, and that's crazy.
The idea that I was just thinking about a while ago is that sometimes when I drive around here, like, and I see police, like I get a little, like I just double check. Yeah, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, that's
like,
real.
Like sometimes I'm like, I'm not doing anything, right? Right? Just and then, but sometimes I'm like, oh shit, put my phone away. But that's bad. But like that feeling of like, oh shoot, just when I see one when they're technically supposed to be there for protection, right?
Like a sense of uneasiness.
Yeah. And then, but imagine if that was like full on military, right? With the heavily armed, because that's like another level.
Yeah. And especially there, it's like, I think the one factor that's a little bit different is here, there's profiling anywhere you go, depending on like the social norms of an area. But there, it's like everyone is Pinoy, diba? Or like Filipino. Everyone there in the Philippines, for the most part, is Filipino, except for, tourists and stuff. But then here, we're living where there's like millions of displaced people from other countries, so we all look different, which gives the police kind of a reason to be like, oh, who do we target? And it's usually, brown people, black and brown people. But I think what I'm worried about now is how they profile and target certain people, even though they say, oh, martial law is declared because this is an anti-terrorist act or like a decision to fight terrorism and these extreme groups in the Philippines. But if that's who you're looking for in a population of 90 million people, like the people who are going to be profiled like racially, I don't know how to say it, like profiled and targeted are going to be like people who just look like me and you. And they're just like regular civilians. Because it's not like
makes sense,
it's not like there's a bunch of black people all the time that are there, and Mexican people and Middle Eastern people.
Every time they do in the Philippine news, like TV patrol, and then there's a suspect, right? Please don't look like me. Please don't look like me.
Christian, you're here. You live here.
I'm like, oh shoot, he looks like me. There have been times like they have the posters like when I'm traveling in the Philippines, right? They have those.
They
posters
have the checkpoint with all of the pictures of the terrorists. They're on the terrorist watch.
And it's way easier to look like someone there, like for me to look like someone, especially if I have like just a buzz cut head.
Yeah,
like,
that's
sometimes
true.
It's like, ooh.
Yeah, but see, that's very telling. Then is like, okay, well, I'm pretty sure that they're going to be targeting people that they're just like, oh, are you da da da? Like, even if you look suspicious and if they have a reason, but it's going to be mostly thousands of people that are just poor, or because all of the checkpoints are going to be where just like regular communities are.
So it makes me think that the stratification here, right, is on both colored lines and economic lines. But I think in the Philippines, the stratification is
religious lines.
Yeah,
region.
religious lines. But in terms of like the dominating structure that delineates people, the stratification is exemplified in the Philippines through economics.
Yeah, because it's a class analysis, like
Class analysis.
it's true. Like when you think about society, like remember when we were in the Philippines and we were sitting in a car and we were talking about like how usually if someone is lighter skin, of course probably they're using whitening soap, but it's also
Glutamax, baby.
It's also an not funny. You don't even use that.
But for real, we saw like a whole aisle, right?
More than one.
More than one.
It's like a third of the market sometimes. In the regular drugstores, like
everywhere.
a third. Yeah.
It's everywhere to have whitening lotions, creams.
It's even like available in like the random like ma and pa corner store where you just buy. Yeah, sorry store. They have whitening soap.
Yeah.
But yeah, like what I was saying is that is an indicator. Even though you're not a white person, if you have whiter skin, it's an indicator that what? You might have a house instead of living in a bahay kubo. Like you might have, or like living outside. You probably have air conditioning where you live. You're completely like, you're available. You can have shade, and also you can afford to buy products that keep you from being this like wretched dark person. It's sad.
Shade. That's where one place throwing shade is actually a gift. Here's an umbrella.
Oh my God.
So, but for real.
But we need that. We need the sun. We need those nutrients.
But for real, people use umbrellas there when it's not raining.
We had a delegate that brought one.
Yeah,
but then, because of other reasons. Yeah. But I think like also there was this commercial on TFC recently. It's like a sunshine. It's like there's this song. It's with all of the TFC celebrity, like the well-renowned like actors and actresses and singers. Like they had like Chris Aquino on there, Boy, the bald
Abunda.
guy, yeah, and then
Boy
like
Abunda.
Sarah Geronimo. What's his name? Piolo Pascual, like all those random really famous people, and they were in the palenque, going through the palenque, going to the parks and stuff, and they're talking, I think they're trying to exemplify community and family dynamics in how they emphasize family and community and being proud of being Filipino. But it was interesting that all of the celebrities, when they would be standing next to regular people at the park, the ice cream vendor, the person running the sari shop, the manong that's just chilling, the celebrities are dancing with them, but you can see it's really stark how different their skin color is.
Yeah.
It makes them almost look like heroes and
conquistadors.
Yeah, it's weird. It
One
was
is
a weird
sun-kissed
commercial.
and one is Bello kissed. Vicky Bello, you don't know that
No.
she's one of the biggest plastic surgery surgeons in the Philippines, and then she has a whole line of stores and locations you can go to for skin treatment, derma stuff, injections, glutathione injections, baby. Shout out to my kuya who got glutathione.
Really? Stop. Are you serious?
Yeah, because he was oh, it's good for the liver. It actually is. Scientifically, it was created for liver.
No, but it's supposed to be for that.
It's supposed.
It's
it
not
is.
supposed to be injected into your
No. It's supposed to be injected, and they created it for liver. Originally,
yeah.
in order for it to help your liver clear out toxins.
Yeah.
And it's effective.
But a lot of people don't really use it for
but
that.
But then they found that the side effect of it was lighter skin, and then the people who wanted lighter skin were like, "Oh, let's use this. It's healthy. It's for."
Now they're using the liver excuse, the healthy part.
No, people don't even use that as an excuse. They just want lighter skin. They just use it as, hey, this is how you can get lighter skin. Is the glutathione injections. And
but what I mean is they'll be oh, isn't that kind of bad? They're well, I mean, I heard other things that that it's good for the liver, so I mean, it's a win-win for me. You know, kind of using it as a secondary reason.
Yeah. It's just more reasons to get. That's why we dark up in here, baby. FilAm life is all about that dark skinneds. No.
I guess. But then if anything, FilAms are pretty light skin here too, because we're in a different climate.
What I'll say though is that even growing up since high school, and meeting FilAms, there was a larger number of them by consensus being dark. Did not mind in comparison to the same people of the same age group that I knew in the Philippines, being lighter skinned, while the ones in the same age group here in the US, who are Filipinos ethnically, right, but grew up here, a lot of them being dark. The ones, the homies in LA.
Why do you think?
Because I think it's a combination of not being under the colorism culture of the Philippines, right, where you're glorified if you're light-skinned. But at the same time, I think there's also an underlying part of the experience here in America where you kind of try to find a sense of distinction.
Yeah.
And one is being Filipino, and you're oh, Filipinos are dark, and it's oh, it's fine.
Yeah.
But also, I think, for example, the Filipinos I knew in LA, a lot of them also resonated a lot with hip hop culture and African American black culture, and they're black. They don't care about, well, I mean, you have the mini team light skin stuff, but they don't really care about being dark. So a lot of the Filipinos I knew
Or
in
embrace
LA,
it, you
or
mean.
embrace
Not
it,
that they
or
don't
they
care.
or they don't actively try to be light skinned.
Yeah, they're not going out of their way to change
Yeah.
what they are.
And so I think that's some folks in LA that I knew were like, oh yeah, hip hop, baby.
And I think that that's something that is attained at a certain age. Because, like, you watch I remember we were talking about the Hassan Minaj special when Hassan
the one
Minaj.
on Young Money, Nicki Minaj?
No, Minaj. Hassan Minaj he's from The Daily Show, and he talked about, when kids first experience racism ever. Like, and not making it exclusively to Filipinos. We're a part of this. It's, the Muslim community, the Black community, the Latino community. When you first experience racism, like the very first time when you're young, and you don't even know what it is until you feel shame. And I think that that's something that we continuously combat. So although, like, in the Philippines, we're like, oh, like the class is it's very like sharply indicated by your color. I think here it is too. It's just there are a lot more factors that go into it. And I think here, when we realize that we're brown and then our colleagues are not, and sometimes it scares you. Like, I remember wishing I was white when I was young. Like maybe kindergarten, like wanting to be like my white friends because, for example, like on TV, it's always white people. And then, like, also the way that white people were sort of overrepresenting this, like, Catholic school that I went to, like, super Irish and super Italian, super Russian, super Scottish. Like, everyone there is white. And people just ask you, like, what are you? And I think that's the first time when you start to understand, like, wow, there is a difference between me and them in their eyes. Like, I would like to think we're all the same, but for them to ask, what are you, and not ask any of the other white people what they are, because I'm sure they don't come from the same national origins, not all of them. Everyone's a mix of something. But how come nobody ever asks the white person, like, what are you? Where are you from? Ever,
Except in BuzzFeed videos.
Yeah, like if there's a group of white people, they'll be like, where from white land are you from, or where from Europe is your family from? They're just like, oh, you're white.
Yeah.
But with us, just because we're brown, they're like, which category of brown are you? Where do you come from? Like, all of a sudden, it's
you're Filipino.
All of a sudden we're exoticized. Like, we're so much more enticing all of a sudden, and it's like, yo, for all you know, like, I don't know.
So, question, real quick. Let's do a rewind. Profile building. No, nothing bad. Profile building, just so we get context of your point of view, and because you started going into your history of going to a Catholic school and all that. So it'll be good just to get like a bigger picture perspective, right?
Of just like my life.
Speed round. Where were you born?
San Francisco, California.
How old are you?
24 years old.
Where did you go to elementary school?
Kindergarten at St. Philip's in Diamond Heights, and then St. Anne for the rest of until 8th grade in the Sunset District. St. Anne of the Sunset.
Where do you go to high school?
Lowell High School.
Where do you go to college?
San Francisco State University.
What is your major?
Sociology with a minor in sexuality studies and education.
What organizations are you a part of?
This is really a speed round. Jeez.
This is like just to get it all, just to get it all there, context wise.
Okay. Organizations.
Yeah, organizations, groups, whatever.
Okay, so I am part of an alliance at San Francisco State University consisting of all the Filipino organizations. And it's called Mula sa Ugat. That's the name of the alliance. Mula sa Ugat. So it's comprised of all the Filipino orgs. I am actively part of 3 organizations. I just became like an active member, sort of Filipino American Collegiate Endeavor, which just had their PCN, very successful, if I may say so myself.
Filipino Culture Night.
And then League of Filipino Students at San Francisco State University, which is part of a bunch of alliances like nationally, internationally. And then we have my sorority, the sorority that I am a part of, Kappa Psi Epsilon, is a Pinay interest organization. Yes.
Cool. And so I know that you were born here. What do you consider yourself as in terms of ethnic labeling?
Oh,
what do
yeah.
let's
we
get
were
into
talking about this.
to the identity question of it all. The whole purpose.
I honestly like. It's interesting because I think that even just this whole identity thing, it doesn't matter as much to me as it did like years ago. And because I mean, like my dad was like, "What the fuck you mean identity?" You know, like my mom was like, "What do you mean identity? You know, you're Filipino." You know, for them, like there's no question about it. They know who they are. They're born in the Philippines, and it's like. They don't have. I mean, of course, there's always more to learn, even when you think you've learned all you need. Like example, we went to the Philippines, see places they've never seen with their own eyes. So it's like, I think the identity thing, like whether it's like Pinex, Philippinex, Philippinex dash American, Philippinex space American, Filipino, Filipina, Filipinat. Like, it's almost tiring sometimes to think about it. Not that I don't think that these labels can be important. I just think that even in its attempt to be inclusive, we were talking about this, even in its attempt to be inclusive, it's very exclusive.
How's it exclusive?
Okay, so like I remember talking to Kasama when we went on KBKN.
Kasama means? Just
like
for
companion, to be with, comrade, friend. Okay. Many different meanings.
Okay.
But I was talking to Kasama when one of our team leaders from KBKN, and I asked them what they thought of the term Filippinex or Pinex or all of these things. And they said, well, first of all, we don't really talk about that because like the dynamics of the society in the Philippines, you don't really have to reiterate the fact that you are Filipino because you know. Second, it's more of like a postmodern, like Americanist term to like say like Filippinex American or even saying Filipino American. To them, the American part, they don't even have to use. And then lastly, with like X and Y, these dynamics in regards to gender relations, I see how they can be. You're attempting to be inclusive of the LGBTQ community, but at the same time, when you change the term instead of addressing the actual problems or stratifications, like the inequalities that these communities are facing, and your overall solution to it is just the changing of a word, to me, it's like you're not really changing the condition you're not really like contributing to the actual change in conditions for people who are most marginalized and discriminated against. Like, for example, like brown trans people, like just because you put Filippinex there, does it mean that it's going to stop people from being discriminated against or like, I don't know, killed? You know? So it's, I know it's heavy, but it's true. And to them, like, they feel excluded. And even like a lot, Kasama Donna, when we were in Mindanao, she's a Filipina trans lady and she lives in Mindanao. She lives in General Santos, and she told me like, I just like to say that I'm Filipina, even though I know that I'm a trans woman. Like, I know that like in my heart and my brain, the way that I grew, I knew that I was a woman. You know, like even though I'm biologically born a male, she's like, I know I'm a woman and I don't need someone to remind me that I'm this trans or Filippinex. Like, I'm a Pinay or I'm a Filipina. And that's what I'm telling you. I don't need you to verify with me by putting this X there. Like, I am Pinay, the end. And the Lumad understood that. And it's crazy how it's so easy for them to understand, but for us, it's like, have to make all of these like things to make sense of it. And
just for people who don't know, Lumad means
like it's like the overall indigenous of the Philippines. So it's consisting of many different groups.
It's just a general term to
like when you say Native American, but then there's like different. There's Cherokee, Chippewa, blah blah blah, all of those.
And so Lumad, there are Lumad groups, like indigenous groups, and then you were saying that they were just like, oh yeah, like that.
Yeah, the way they viewed her was like she was a woman, and they didn't second guess it. And I think so going back to your question, like I think my favorite choice was human being.
Yeah.
Because there are people out there who, like, I don't mean to say just all Trump supporters are like this, because I know that they have problems too, and they are like, we still have things in common with them. But the way that they popularize this is like, like if you're gay, you're going to hell. If you're black, you don't deserve to be here. Like, all lives matter. And then like, if you're Mexican, go back to where you came from. And it's like, like we're human beings. Like you don't talk about people like that, like everyone has a right to live while they're here. And to live a life that is fulfilling and beautiful, that's surrounded with love. And I think when we put too much emphasis on these labels, it's almost like a notion of separating, and which is not loving.
I feel like it's like intellectual superiority.
Not to. Definitely like the academic space, like the institutionalization of those words.
But I mean, inclusivity is cool. Like it also gives light to new experiences, because shout out to D Young Museum, my first time seeing an all-gender restroom.
Yeah.
Like an all.
Even though D Young has some problems too.
But here I've seen an all-gender restroom. Skyline has some, but they're single stalls.
It's
like
for
all-gender single stall. So like, it just says all gender.
That's interesting.
Because
San Francisco
they were
State
able to convert those single ones to like all-gender, right? But then this one in D Young,
it has like a picture of like a male, female, and like a line in between. So it's like both.
I forget.
Does it have a picture there?
I don't know I don't think it has a picture.
It just says
just says all gender. Same thing as in D Young on the sign. It doesn't have like figures.
It's just all gender bathroom.
It just says all gender bathroom.
That was cute.
And then when I open it, I'm like, there's women there. So I was like, the first reaction was, I'm in the wrong one.
Because you didn't read that it said.
Yeah, but it said, so I didn't know where to go. And then when I go in, they're there, like in the sink. And then I see the urinal. So I was like the standing urinal. So I was like, so this is the spot.
So you just, because you only saw women in that room, you thought it was like the women's restroom?
Yeah. And then I was like, am I allowed in here? Like,
would you have had a different reaction if it was men and women that you saw immediately when opening the door?
I probably would have been like, okay, I guess, like that. If I saw both men and women already in there, like.
But at the time, it was all women.
Yeah, at the time when I opened the door, it was all women. So I thought it was one of those moments like, am I wrong? Like, sorry, like that.
And that's so crazy.
But it was kind of cool when I was
like
thinking about it. I was like, this is kind of a cool little social change. Just like, I'm hi. Like, I'll wash my hands like that.
Yeah,
like,
but even when you go to the bathroom with guys, you don't say hi to everyone.
Only if I know them.
Yeah, but like, let's say they're just strangers. You just do your business. So then now if it's like all gendered restrooms, you would just conduct yourself in the way that you would anyway.
Yeah, but it might increase my urinal shyness. I have urinal shyness sometimes. Like if I'm...
Really? I feel like if you keep doing it, like it would decrease the shyness.
No, and just in general, if I'm at a urinal and I'm right next to a person, if I don't really, really have to pee, if I'm at 90%, like, I have to pee, like, I just go. But then if I'm like at 30%, like, it's one of those preemptive pee strikes. Like, I'm gonna go to the restroom so I can pee, because I feel it coming, right? And if I'm there and like two people are right next to me, right at the stall, right next to me, I'm like,
That's interesting.
Like a part of me is like, I think it's because...
I think that's something that women don't really experience because we pee and go number 2 in stalls. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So it's like we're always separated.
There's those, it's super old, but those old memes where like, or even mini games. They had a mini game on the phone, like choose the best stall. And then it would give you a hypothetical picture where one person is peeing, right? on the far left, choose the best stall to use, and there's like 5 others. You're supposed to pick the one on the way right, like
Oh my
as much
God.
distance. Or like
So
when there's 2
weird.
people, like find the one spot where there's a space in between the 2 people, like that, like to minimize the number. And there's games, full on mini
That's
games
so
that
weird.
you can play. And I guess it's a thing, but when you have to go, you have to go. Sometimes I'm like, whatever. Like if you're really holding it.
But
like-
yeah, anyway.
But yeah, anyway, back to inclusivity.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. It's interesting, and I think it's a general trend. But it's a interesting conversation to have. But what I don't like is sort of this postmodernist push to police people's language and
In regards to this identity thing, like trying to force importance of that onto people.
yeah,
It's like, what if
importance,
what if I
or in
already
any other political correct discussion.
Because have you ever? I think like as a woman specifically, like me as a Filipino woman, like when I use the term that I'm Filipino, just saying I'm Filipino, and then getting reactions like, "Don't you mean Filipina? Don't you mean Pinay? Don't you mean this?" And it's like, why can't I just say like, is that what's the most important thing here?
Really, people ask you that? People say
Yeah,
that?
yeah, and it's like I'm not trying to dismiss the fact that I am a woman. Like I'm not trying to dismiss the fact that like there are like problematic like gender dynamics, but like why can't I just say that I'm Filipino? And then you make your decision about what you think on me based on the work I do and the person I am, rather than whether or not I use a fucking X.
I was
You
actually,
know,
yeah.
shit.
I was actually thinking that the term Filipino, because here, okay, let me tell me what you think of this idea, right? Okay, because I saw one argument for the X, right, is that it was in a Latin X one, and you can say the same argument for the
It's
Philippine
different for
X.
the Latino community. Yeah.
But the for example, if you can argue for the Philippine X, let's just use Philippine X. When you're a Filipina, you can call them Filipina, right? Female. But then when there's a group, and say a group of women, oh, they're Filipinas, but one guy goes in there,
You're
and then they're all
Filipinos.
Filipinos, right? And then, for example, if there's a group of men and they're Filipinos,
Filipino.
if a woman is included, it's still Filipino, right? Is that so? They say that's
It's compromising, like
that's like prioritizing the men, right?
Yeah,
but
I
then
agree
there's
with
this,
that.
How about this other perspective? What if it's that no, it's not prioritizing, it's just that the special identifier, which is more unique, is only available for the uniqueness and specialty of the women, where a Filipino cannot be a Filipina, right? But a Filipina can be both Filipina and Filipino.
Yeah.
So they're privy to both identifiers, which with a Pinay and a Filipina actually holds other additional like merit or even respect in terms of the qualities that can be attributed to that.
I mean, to an extent, I can see where that argument is going, and I'm not going to say that, like, based on how you explained it, I'm not going to make assumptions about whether or not you agree with that. But personally, for me, I disagree with it because, like, a privilege is not only in a name, you know? Because at the end of the day, like, the Philippines is still very, like, feudal and like a lot of patriarchy, and in all different societies, you know, it's not just the Philippines. So it's like, oh, big deal, I get to say I'm Filipina and Filipino. But at the end of the day, it's like when we talk about how many people leave the Philippines every day, it's 60% is women. When we talk about like the jobs that are most like like the people who are most vulnerable, they always say women and children, women and children, women and children. Yeah, it's because women are treated differently and they're paid less, and it's like, okay, go ahead, like take away the fact that I can be called a Filipino. take away the fact that I can be called a Filipina, but these are the things that I need, and it's not being met. So that's when I talk about like, oh, changing the name of a condition is not going to change the condition.
So I want to ask something.
Yes.
Okay, you grew up here. You went to Catholic school. You went to Lowell. You went to Lowell, prestigious. That was called. But my question is, you seem very like adamant about your perspectives in terms of the Philippines and your analysis of the issues there. How did this come about? Were you always very knowledgeable about the Philippines? And
Okay.
how did this start?
I knew certain things, but I think like I could tell there was always a spark of curiosity, because I think in America, like the only access that I had to anything Filipino at all was TV Patrol on Channel 8, and when we got cable, TFC. And that's what I thought being Filipino was all about. And then
Yeah, wow, we baby.
yeah, well, and he's creepy. He's a creep. But then, like, when I went to Lowell, I joined the FilAm club, and then that was my also like another introduction into Filipino culture. So we had like annual like assembly, kind of like PCN. Yeah, it was PCN for high school, but we call it assembly, FilAm assembly, and then the whole school would like the teachers would like cancel class, bring their classes over to the assembly, and they'd watch.
The whole school?
Almost the whole school, like unless there were like some teachers that were like, "Meh, I don't care." But most teachers really like look forward to FilAm assembly because we were one of the only cultural clubs at the time that had an assembly.
Do they still have that until now?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm not sure if they make it a requirement for some classes to go anymore, but it used to fill the whole auditorium. It'd be like, and it'd be free. So dope. You could just go for free in the middle of your class and not have to learn anything, you know? Or except, of course, like the culture and the rich culture of your classmates. So beautiful.
Were
Like
there a lot of Filipinos at Lowell?
I believe we were 5% at the time of the entire student population. It's predominantly Chinese, not just any Asian, but Chinese. 51% Chinese, and then I think like a good 20% is white. So even though we were a public school, it's like pretty bougie.
Bad and bougie. No, they were good and bougie in high school. Just kidding.
To an extent,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because Lowell, actually, for context, people have to test in
It's
to
the
get
only
into
school
Lowell.
in
Even if it's a public,
SFUSD, yeah.
it's a public school, but you have to test in, and you're admitted based on your performance on that test.
The test and your GPA in 7th and 8th
Oh,
grade.
let me shout out real quick a side story on Lowell, because this is just recent and this has to be propagated.
Okay.
So, homie Kevin Lorenzana, shout out, another shout out.
Hi, Kevin.
Was cutting hair. I go in, right? And he has a homie in there, right? He goes to Lowell. He's a junior. I won't give any more specifics. I don't know if he's going to. I think he's trying to make it more public. His sister wants to make this more public. But what ended up happening is this fool gets 100 on his algebra test, right? And he's called in by the teacher, and he says, "Hey, you and let's say Brad over there, white kid, both got 100. You both have to retake the test because y'all cheated. Y'all cheated, so you have to retake the test. Let's call the homie Josh, right? I forgot his real name. Sorry, homie.
So they only called in one of the students.
No, they called in both, right? So Josh is Filipino. He's half Filipino.
They're both students in the same class.
Both students in the same class. Josh is half Filipino. The Brad is white. Teacher says, "I know both of you cheated. All right, you're all on the same sports team, so you both cheated, and because you both got 100, that's not possible.
What does she mean? That's not possible.
She just says, "I know you cheated." So Brad goes, "No, I didn't cheat. I didn't cheat. You can't prove it." Josh also says, "No, I didn't cheat." But the teacher still says, "You have to cheat. I mean, you have to take the test. You cheated." So Josh, Filipino, retakes the test, gets 100, and says, "Look, see, I got 100." And Brad, on the other hand, stakes his claim, says, "No, I didn't cheat. I did not cheat. I don't have to do that. You can't prove that I cheated, so I don't have to." He refuses to take the test.
Well, what the fuck? Then Josh still had to take it.
And then the teacher goes, "Okay, you can keep that grade." So the Brad gets to keep his grade.
I'm so agitated.
Gets to keep his grade, and Josh. This just happened this year. Josh, Filipino, had to retake it. He gets his 100 because he got 100 again, right? He complains to the administrators
that
right?
he had to retake the
that
test.
He had to retake the test, the whole process of like, what is this? What's going on?
Questioning his honor.
Yeah, speak into the mic too when you say stuff.
Like them questioning his honor.
Yep. And then the admin says something to the lines of, this is not verbatim, but something to the lines of, "Oh yeah, that was bad. She'll improve next time." And that's it.
No action.
Nothing. Even I was tripping out. Wait, I was like, what? Nothing? It just stopped there? And he was like, "Yeah, they didn't. They just said, oh yeah, that's a bad thing that happened. Yeah, that shouldn't have happened, and that shouldn't happen."
You know, I'm very agitated, but at the same time not surprised because, I went there for 4 years and
you see how things stop at like the admin level, like where it's just protecting the
rapport of the school.
Yeah, and how just keep it going.
Yeah.
Don't question, just keep it going.
And if
I was like, "Bro, you have to tell this story. You have to like link up and make sure we get that on some testimonial level, because that's fucked." But this guy, I hope I don't give away who he is, but this guy is half Filipino, half Samoan. Bro, he was big too. And Pogi, he's young, and I was like, bro. And then he's got like ink on him. I was like, are you even 18? But those stories have to be told and to be propagated, I think, because it's kind of fucked. But yeah. He didn't cheat, yo. Fuck that. I cheated though in high school. Sorry. And I still got them D's. I got my transcript back, like from high school, because I had to
turn it in.
To turn it in, right? Just high school transcript to prove that I took Spanish. But
to prove that I took Spanish.
Even if I don't know anything other than como se llama. And my grades, I was kind of surprised. I was like, what the heck? I graduated with a 3.2 something. I had like D's in psychology.
Wait, 3.2 is really good. I don't get how.
Not really.
3.2 is a B average.
Yeah. But then in terms...
How did you get that when you had D's?
Because my freshman, sophomore year, I had a bunch of A's.
Oh, okay.
So my cumulative...
3.2 is fine.
Yeah.
That's like...
That's
good. That's very good.
Palo Alto. If we're talking about...
Okay, Palo Alto. Lowell, even though... Lowell's Lowell. I mean,
Lowell's Lowell, one of the number one schools in the
country. And the average GPA was 3.2, 3.3.
Over there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not bad, Christian, not bad. Yes, those D's were all right in music theory.
Dude, did you just not go to class? I thought you're into music.
I know, but not the theory part that time.
That's important.
I know, it's super important. I wish I actually studied more and had it ingrained now that I'm really...
You don't have to wish. You can still do it.
I did. I took music theory this semester. I got an A. Hey, baby. Skyline College, shout out. That's where you go. Community college, where it's at. Heart of the people. Save your money. And yeah, I got an A. But during high school, I remember that. Shout out to Mr. Nahar. He was the choir teacher and the music theory teacher and stuff. So I was in choir like the years that I were there, and even the not honor choir, but like the one that you have try out for Madrigal, right? So I was in it, and I guess we had a okay rapport. And then I would just take the bathroom pass every day in music theory. I was the only one who didn't take the AP test, even if I took the AP class as music theory AP. I was like, I don't have to take the test, right? I would just take the hall pass, and just walk around the school because I wanted to like talk to people,
AKA,
and then people. Yeah, I wanted to talk to girls, but they didn't really want to talk to me during that time. And then at the end of the semester, he was like, "Oh wait, the best I could do for you is a D." And then I was like, "Huh, that's a C because it's an AP test, right? It's an AP class. It's
weighted.
Yeah, it's weighted like a C." So I was like, all right, that's fine. And then it's still passing. Mr. Nahar, I'm better at music now. Shout out. It's kind of cool just to see the flashback of the high school transcript, right? So tell me, how did you transition? Back to you. Enough of me.
Yeah.
Enough of KuyaChris on KuyaChris and Friends. Brrr. Let us go back to how was your actual experience? Because I know for context, we went to the Philippines last year on Kapit Bisig Kabataan Network. Shout out, class of 2016. We went on this trip, and that was your first time in the Philippines. Could you tell me a little bit about your experience going to the Philippines for a first time? And now that we have a context as a Filipina American human being, right? That grew up in the United States with ethnic background of being with Filipino parents. What was your experience like going to the Philippines?
But yeah, I wanted to answer the other question.
Wait, sorry, was there another question? I totally forgot.
Oh my god, we really went off on a tangent there with your bathroom pass thing. I know you have that tendency, so I'm not angry.
What was the question? Sorry.
When I was talking about like, was I always interested in like Philippines?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, sidebar because of the Lowell story with the homie Josh. His real name's not Josh, but yes. So please continue. Right.
Anyway,
my days as a host are numbered.
You're so annoying sometimes.
Welcome to the first and last episode of KuyaChris and Friends. Okay, back to you. It's hot. Is it me or is it hot? I think that
it's
I need a
pretty
speaker.
hot.
Can you start sharing? Just share while I turn the heater off.
Okay. Hi, sexy. Hi, sexy.
Shout out to Sexy. I think it was set at 76, and that's like in there. I don't know why it was set so. I think I set it so high to get it hot in here because the thermostat is in there. Whew.
Okay. Anyway,
I'm just trying to recreate the Philippines.
But yeah, so yeah, I mean, yeah, I was in FilAm. No, see. Okay.
What?
Yeah, like I graduated thinking like FilAm was like all I needed. And like talking about like, oh yeah, like we do tinikling and like also like another thing that was kind of like had like little microaggressions in regards to like racism. We always had this like annual thing called Kermesse at Lowell. Kermesse, Kermesse. So it's basically like our cultural festival where every cultural club basically makes food, sells it. It's like, this is our culture. And then they have like performances from whoever. Sometimes it's from the staff, sometimes it's from the cultural club or like cheerleaders or whatever. And like that was our only cultural day in which we celebrated people's cultures. And mind you, like, if I think about not only the Filipinos, like I was like, oh yeah, I'm in FilAm and we're selling lumpia, 2 for $1. And I was like, this is the height of like Filipino-ness, you know? Like, and I thought that by doing these like annual shows, as important as they were, like, it's high school, you know? Like, there's only a certain level of understanding of like, okay, what does it mean to actually like, I don't know, be engaged in the community. And I think in an environment like Lowell, which is highly emphasized on the academic, you're very alienated from the rest of the community, because there's like a lot of reports of like depression, anxiety, like stress amongst Lowell students, because they have that expectation that they're going to be professionals and be very successful, go to Ivy League college, private college, overseas. So it's like when it comes to ethnic studies, which we did not have at the time, nobody really cared, except when it would be to their benefit of buying lumpia and enjoying it. You know? Or like making fun of people for doing the what's the name of that seagull dance? The Philippine, like I remember I remember one year we did that cultural rural dance, and the entire audience was laughing. Like there were members of the audience laughing, and it's just like interesting to me, like to think back on it now, is like we really thought that we were being all we could. And that, you know, there's a certain level of being Filipino enough and then being way too Filipino for people's comfort. And we decided to be reasonable with that and to compromise with that. The people who were like, I don't get it. Like, I know lumpia, I know like kabusta, I know maganda, I know like tangi na mo, you know, like that's all that we knew in high school. So like going into college, freshman year college was when I pledged for Kappa Epsilon. And I'm like still eternally grateful for that introduction to like the Filipino community outside of just like Lowell High School, because Kappa really like gave me that introduction to like the rich revolutionary culture. Like that was the first time I even learned about Jose Rizal. Isn't that crazy? 18 years old, that's the first time you learn about who Jose Rizal is. You know? And I grew up in San Francisco all my life. I learned about who Jose Rizal was, who Andres Bonifacio was. I learned about the Delano grape strike. I learned that like Filipinos have been here, like they were on a Spanish galleon trade for like over 300 years. I never knew that. Like I knew that we had Spanish last names, but I never understood why. Like all this rich shit, like knowing that we have an ancient like script. Huh? Like I didn't know any of that. And I think that's why identity is such a big thing here, is because holy crap, it's not in our education system that like this is like true history of the Philippines. Like it's rich. Like the history is rich. And then learning about learning about like people like Gabriela Silang and Tantang Sora. And then for a project for Kappa, we had to go around the city, and they gave us these locations to visit, and it was just like a project to like hang out with each other and bond as a class. And we went to the Filipino streets in the Soma. We went to Bindlestiff. We went to Bayanihan Center. We went to the Filipino Community Center. We went to the Mike Dream Graffiti. We went to the iHotel. All these things I didn't even know existed. And I was born in San Francisco. And I was like, this is so nuts. Like, how come like I've been going to school, I memorized how to take the bus, like all of the bus routes, and just like pass these things, like pass by Bessie Carmichael, and there's that big ass Filipino mural, like all of that. And then like when you go to Union Square, there's that problematic ass statue, like
Mr. Dewey.
Yeah, like all of that. And I was like, huh? Like, when did this happen? And then you see that these things have been here for years. And I think that was what really reintroduced like that spark for me. That's why I'm always eternally grateful for Kappa for introducing me to this rich history that the books in my AP US history class and my AP world class and all of that from back at Lowell didn't teach me. Who cares if I had like a 3.5 or a 3.7 or even a like whatever GPA I had. It's like, this is shit that matters. Like, as a Filipina, like, am I really going to care like what the Liberty Bell represents? Like, like things like that I learned in like AP US history as compared to like people who look like me and people who I exist because of. Like, I attribute that, like, my existence to them. So, yeah, it's pretty awesome.
It makes me wonder, right? Like, how we're going to structure like educational system that, like, if for example, right, I've gotten a lot of benefit out of learning about Filipino history and all that.
Yeah.
Right. So are we going to send every Filipino to a Filipino school, like, or
that's a little like that.
Yeah, but that's wait, because what if you're in a place where you have like with someone from Burma, India, and then you have like Malaysian, Russian? How can you structure the curriculum in a limited amount of days to touch the depths of each person's cultural background, and give each one the same type of exploratory experience?
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's where like the work that we talk about in LFS, like, and a lot of these organizations that are here in the Bay Area, when we talk about like Salugpungan and this like fight for building schools that are not only built for the community but by the community themselves. So understanding that like the education system that we're in now has existed like since slavery, or like right after slavery, right? It's like the classrooms, like the teacher has all the authority, the desks, like even the classroom structure it's the same, but the people have changed. The people have gotten smarter. They have progressed. The conditions have changed. Technology is moving faster than ever. But why is the classroom still the same? And I think like if we're talking about curriculum that is inclusive and relevant to all communities, because the fact of the matter is that we're in the US and there's a lot of people. I think the first thing that we need to address is, do these communities feel and know that they have power to exercise? Because I think that when we romanticize this idea of like academic achievement, we have like immigrant parents that are like, just go to school, get into Stanford, work hard. And when you go home, I still remember like this one experience like with my dad, and I was bringing home my history book and I needed help with my history homework. And I give him the book and he can't help me. That's like so disheartening for a parent to think that they cannot help their child. And I think that that's one thing we need to change about the academic system is the communities need to be self-determinant of the things that they want to provide for their communities and their children, so that the children can feel like there's a hopeful world they can live in, and that we can leave them with a more hopeful world. That's why like I love the work Salugpungan is doing so much, is that they are helping the community understand like you have power that you can exercise. And look at who's building the schools, and look who's teaching in the schools, and look at the language that they're learning, how they're learning like what the alphabet is. They're not learning about Jose Rizal, they're learning about Lumad heroes. Like, and who's creating the curriculum? Them. Because the government, the Department of Education is not providing that for them. And they don't care to ask the LUMAD for resources because they feel that this hierarchy in the academic institution is like, we are all knowing, we have internet and books, what do you have? Oral history. Like, they don't care. And I think that's like, it's transcended here because a lot of communities of color that live here, Southeast Asian, there's like Native Americans here, there's like a lot of people that most of the history is learned orally, like oral tradition or scripts and pictures and art.
So there is like a big importance to take control of the education that is being propagated within our communities.
Yeah. Ooh, that got deep.
Shout out to Pep for Philippine education in SFUSD, baby. Which is pretty dope. When I first saw it here in San Francisco, like, to think that there's places like Bessie Carmichael and Galibata.
Bessie Carmichael, dude.
Where
they're killing it.
Like, you can have like Filipino education for the youth, like learning about these heroes, Jose Rizal and Andres. And, the Manongs. And shout out to the East Bay changing the school to Veracruz and Larry Itliong.
Yeah.
And putting these people in the forefront, and then thinking like PEP, which is Pinoy Pinay Educational Partnerships, has classes at Longfellow Elementary. My teacher at Skyline, Liza, has her daughter in the PEP program at Longfellow. So it's like people that she has taught in her college kababayan classes, Filipino studies, has now become the teachers of her child. So it's like really putting people into these positions where they can actually take control of the educational system and really teach what we wished that we had when we were younger, right? And I think it's pretty dope. Hopefully it like propagates even more.
Yeah.
But my question is, could you sing another song for us?
There's so many questions.
What do you mean?
I thought okay. Sure.
Sure? Because I have to pee. So I was thinking if you could start a song.
Really?
And then, start a song. I'm going to just run.
I don't know. I didn't prepare like another one.
Anything will be dope.
You want to put an instrumental on?
Sure. What instrumental do you want? I know that you are a dope singer. That's why. So
should it be like a cover, like just randomly to kill time?
Anything.
How about you request it?
Do you memorize? Do you memorize the piece that you did before you went to the Philippines?
Yeah.
You memorize it? So,
the rap?
Yeah, the rap.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because I was just talking about it.
Okay, so why don't I pull up that instrumental? What was it again? It was a J.
Cole Summer.
Cole Summer instrumental on SoundCloud. And then you'll hear it through your headphones, and then you'll be able to perform it. This is what you performed before going to the Philippines, right? And it was talking about your desire to actually see the Philippines and everything. Whoa, it's a little loud.
It's loud.
Yeah, let me lower it a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, restart. Okay. So I can have it. Wait.
Stop.
Okay, ready?
Wait. Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
So sudden.
Sorry, I'm just timing it that I want to do it, and then I'm just use the restroom real quick. Okay, ready and play.
Now this right here is not a preview. right here is not a preview of what tonight is gonna bring you, or nothing like that. Sharing thoughts, rapping blindly to y'all who inspire me, thinking why she ain't singing instead. She can't be that good. Anyway, SF is my hometown hood. Just a pin-eye woman hoping to reach you if I could. Sharing facts about the homeland, but there's more that I should. About the situation in the PI where my people stood. Yeah, Kappa taught me about my history. LFS told me seriously, this ain't a fucking joke. Folks leaving every day, 6,000, knowing that woke me. Yeah, the number fucking spoke to me. But here we worry about our own jobs. I can't be broke, you see, can't educate myself on loans. Can't y'all agree? Borrowing my way for a little degree, saying I did something with my life, like seriously? But I guess I'm still lucky, cause I live in a home with my sisters and papa, ain't gotta make it on my own. Other people in the city can't make a decent living, while technology progressing, the rich ain't even giving. Now they telling the brown to move out. Now my city's white as fuck, I gotta hide out. But I can't let it go, and I can't let it go. I think I need to let it go, let it go, let it go. Oh, I can't let it go, cause nothing even matters. Yes, SF is where I stay, but my home ain't in the Bay. My blood runs deep where people look like me, like fine brown brothers and pretty brown ladies. The Philippines is the place I'm really talking about, but when I call it my home, people be having they doubts. They ask, you speak Tagalog? I never spoke it before. They say, bitch, you ain't really Pinay, and ain't you supposed to know more? And when I hear that, I can't even be mad, but brown oppressing other brown, that should be making me sad. You see, I really always wanted to learn my home tongue. The closest I ever got was learning Bayan when I was young. Deep inside, I still wondered if I visited the PI, would I get a better understanding of what my people's been demanding? That our land wouldn't be exploited but freestanding. Lose Vermindles in a struggle shit. With typhoons and poverty, they gotta juggle it. The government be keeping the money, yet they be smuggling it. Sounds like the struggle in the US, it's a double hit. Man, I really got this, make this mine. The bridge of my two homes, it's gotta be a sign. I gotta go, oh, I just gotta go home. Oh, I gotta go, I gotta go, I gotta go. Oh, I just gotta go, and my home's all that matters. Oh, I gotta go, I gotta go, I gotta go. Oh, I just gotta go home, and nothing even matters. Oh, I gotta go, I gotta go, gotta go. Oh, I just gotta go, and nothing even matters at all. That's it.
Fire. That's that fire. A little bit more. That's a fire. Hey, shout out to Trina Cheska. Follow on IG. Trina, Trina, Cheska, Chezka.
Yes.
That was fire.
Thank you.
That was like, I'm a little tired right now, but that livens up. It's kind of different hearing things live, you feel me? Like kind of remembering, oh yeah, I remember she sings dope, and then hearing it also on the recorded on the headset, and then hearing the vocals like in the end too, like, ooh, I remember that fire. Telling me a little bit history of your creative side. Like, I know you've been singing since you were a kid. Got that magic mic, chops on.
Yeah, thank you. Creative side. Well, well, I used to just sing all the time when I was small. My mom still has like those cassette recordings from those things called like My First Radio, like the little stereo for little kids, where there's a mic and then there's a wire attached to an FM AM radio. What? And then you can, yeah, there's like features. There's FM radio, AM radio, then record. And then when you switch it to record, you put a cassette tape in. Once you press the record button, you're recording yourself, like singing. Yeah, so my sister and I, when she was like 1 year old, about to turn 2, and I was 2. There's like this really infamous like tape where she and I are singing Tagalog songs, ABCs 1, 2, 3, like everything, and like nursery rhymes, Christmas songs, everything. So I learned how to like sing at a very young age before I learned how to read. Yeah, and it's interesting like saying that. And it's not an exaggeration. Because you know how sometimes people be like, I've been singing all my life. And it's like, yo, I started singing before I learned how to read. Like, obviously, like, it's something that I just want to keep for the rest of my life. If, like, God or whoever out there was able to, like, bestow that passion for me before I could even, like, communicate things to other people. I think that's pretty beautiful. Mm-hmm. And, I always loved learning like Tagalog songs, and then starting first grade, that's when I started taking piano lessons at St. Anne's. Transferred over to Ceremony.
Hey, Ceremony down the street, the biggest Filipino community center out there.
For now, until all the construction's done, shit.
It's gonna be the bigger Filipino community center. Hey,
you know
we ain't
that
gonna
it's going
give that
to.
up.
I hope so, because they're building the condos around there too.
Yeah, but the Manos ain't gonna give that up.
But yeah, anyway.
To defend Ceremony and the Pinoy capital.
Yeah, but yeah, so I started doing piano lessons there at Ceremony, and then I did choir at St. Anne's, and the choir teacher said, "Why don't you take voice lessons?" Because I was like getting a couple solos sometimes, and like we went to Disneyland, like we would perform at Yakirba Buena, at City Hall we performed, and they're like, you know, you should do lessons, like this is something that you should take very seriously, and like you might have a future in it. So my mom enrolled me in private opera classical music lessons.
Opera.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes, with Dr. Mila Edwards. She's a Filipino woman, and she got her doctorate in vocal music back in the Philippines. And when she first started teaching me, she was already in her mid-70s, and she just taught from home. Her husband is a World War II veteran, white guy. But they lived together. It's just them two. Their kids were all grown up and stuff. And they just lived in their house on Dorchester Street in Daly City near Westlake, like going towards Skyline Boulevard. I still remember where their house was, what it looked like. And I learned from her from the age 7 or 8 until I was 15. So during those years, I was doing opera, classical music.
Wait, from 8?
From the age 7 or 8 until
to 15? That's legit years of voice lesson.
Like she was really the one. Shit. She was really, I think, the one who helped me develop the skill that I had. You know, like helped me find what I had.
Damn, yeah. I'm like, fuck, I'm 25. I'll be good at 32.
Fuck. Yeah, so we would practice. I did piano and voice. So it was every other week. One Saturday piano, one Saturday voice, one Saturday piano, one Saturday voice.
Do you take piano with the same lady? No.
Same lady. She's fucking dope. She was fucking dope. And now that I think about it, I really hated taking piano lessons. Like there was something about it I really just like could not stand. And I wish I stuck with it. And especially for how cheap it was. She was only, for private lessons, she was only charging us $60 a month. So $60 a month.
60 divided by 4.
It's like $15 a session. And it was great because obviously it like paid off because I'm still continuing the work that she was doing for me. And eventually when I became 13, I was like, fuck the piano lessons. I need to develop I need to develop my vocals. So I just strictly did voice lessons for 2 years after that. No piano anymore. So I was Oh, shout out to Gabe Bonduk. Gabe Bonduk took the same lessons with Dr. Mila Edwards.
Yeah?
Yeah, I remember seeing him
legacy,
when
okay.
he was really young. Like my first piano recital, this young dude comes up to the stage. They say, Gabe Bonduk. And then my cousin, like all my cousins, like attended my first recital. And then my cousin who she's married now. But at the time she wasn't married, she went, wow, cute Gabe. How cute is he? I still remember that. She was like, how cute is he? And then he's just like, oh, angel voice. And I still talk about that now because this lady, Dr. Mila Edwards, has really like paved the way for a lot of Filipino artists, like for her to be living in Daly City and giving private lessons to mostly Filipino people. Including Gabe Bonduc. So
Gabe Bonduc, shout out to right now. I saw Gabe Bonduk's man bun on IG is legit now. He was just playing like at a wedding or something. He's still killing it.
Yeah. So when I also see like the development of artists like him and other people who were under Mila Edwards, our styles are very similar. Like the riffs, like the emphasis on vibrato, holding your notes, understanding how to read music. All of this is like very consistent with all of her pupils. So I carried that everywhere I went, even when I wasn't under her, like I wasn't her student anymore. And I carried that on when I did chamber choir for Lowell High School. For 2 years. I did chamber choir at San Francisco State for 1 year.
Oh, you did at the state?
Yeah, I did chamber choir. I wanted to do gospel choir because it was more my style, but I'm not very religious as much anymore. So I was like, chamber choir. But now I wish I kind of did gospel choir because I was like, it looks so fun when they're like dancing and stuff.
And their vocal chops are like another level.
On point, yeah.
Yeah.
So I really however she's doing, I don't know what's really going on. Like I haven't contacted her in years. The last time I saw her in person was like junior year of high school, and she was in her late 70s when I first became her student. So maybe
blessings on blessings.
Yeah, blessings on blessings. Like just huge thank you for like igniting my passion for classical music. I still am very passionate about classical music. I just use the technique I learned into what I do now, which
And so now you do a lot of pieces that seem to be connected to the Philippines.
Yeah.
You want to speak on that? How has music been for you in terms of like your putting yourself into it, especially writing more original pieces?
I think it was when I was continuously getting questions, like whenever I'd sing and I'd have shows, especially the first few years of college, they were like, do you have a SoundCloud? Like, or do you have like a Spotify or a pen? Like, like all those things. Do you have an iTunes? Or like, do you have like, where can we find your music? Do you have a YouTube account? And at the time I already had a YouTube account, but all of the content was covers, ukulele, covers. And I was starting to get tired of it. And I'm pretty sure the audience and like my friends, like the only audience was my friends. I don't really have fans, but like my friends were like, yo, like, do you have any original music? And I took that as like a self-critique. It's like, yo, like this gift should not be wasted. Like you have something to say. Cause like when do you ever see like Filipinas like shining with their own original music? Never. Like I remember the first like who were the girls that were Filipina and famous? Okay.
Jasmine Trias.
Yeah, but that's American Idol.
Yeah.
Like Jasmine Trias, Ramiel Malubay, whatever. It was all covers of things. And it was all like, you're just tokenized as this Filipina on American Idol. And now American Idol doesn't even run. The show's not running anymore.
I heard they're relaunching it actually.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I don't know if that's 100%.
Okay.
I saw something recently.
Just making up rumors.
I don't know.
But yeah, like, when do you ever see like Filipinas making their own music and people allowing for that space without them like immediately criticizing her, and I was like, well, I kind of don't care. So I think the first influence I had was like looking at artists like Ruby Ibarra. I was introduced to Rocky Rivera when I first like joined League of Filipino Students. I was like, who's this chick? And then I started listening to their content. Like the lyricism is just unlike anything I had heard before, where they talk about these contemporary issues in the Filipino community, Filipino American community, and issues that are particularly centralized around women's issues. And what I've noticed is that in every organization, the leadership is usually fallen on women. It's like majority of women is leadership on a lot of things. When you think about PEP, Ate Allison, right? When you think about like a lot of organizations, like even if it's a collective, women are very like, they take on a lot of tasks. They're very like on point. A lot of artists, like a lot of good singers, Filipina. So I felt empowered by that, to see that the issues that women face were being expressed through the lyric styles of Rocky Rivera and Ruby Ibarra. So I was like, let me just give this a try. And yeah,
And then you started writing more of your own.
Yeah.
How's the experience been as writing like your own music?
I feel like every time I complete writing a song or even a verse, it's like a small victory. Because it means that I'm that much closer to sharing openly my life experiences with people who are willing to listen. And to me, it used to be about how many people would view it or see it or like it. But to me, I think the people, like, it's worth it when it inspires somebody else, and when they tell me like, like, this reminded me of something, so thank you. Like, oh, you got me thinking. Oh, this made me cry. Thank you. Even if it's just one person, because I think the main goal in my music is to bring light to issues that we stigmatize. Like, we think it's taboo to talk about. And I found passion in singing about the Filipino community because, like, we talked about this, like, cultural work is so powerful. Like, singing and doing cultural work, like, that's a form of education. It's a form of activism through art. And I think it's always more accessible to everyone instead of using all these terms that, might not be like easily understood by everyone. And it's always so easy to reach children with music. And I think that when you sing to them, when they also see that it's a brown girl, like, singing powerfully, it makes them feel, I don't know, from my experience, it makes them feel like encouraged to take on the things that they want to do, but it was never told, like, oh, you can do this, Yeah, like.
Do you see yourself continuing music in the long run? Do you want to do it professionally?
I don't know if I would want to say professionally, because that implies like being in a label and then like also being controlled with what you can say, what you can't say, what you can sing, the style in which you
Not
sing
necessarily, because there are professionals who are independent.
Yeah, like if I think about Chance the Rapper is like one of the people of color that's not under a label.
Yeah.
I've thought about it, but I think to me right now, like, who knows, like, maybe my plans with music will change, but all I know is that I'm not going to stop doing it. And I think right now my main priority is to prop the issues. And also, like, reach people on an intimate level. Like, recently I've been writing like a lot of like love songs, like a lot of relationship songs, and like I hope to reach people with that, because I think like love is such a universally understood thing, and it's like so beautiful that everyone like wants to have that. Like there's no one in the world that doesn't want love. And if you sing a song about love, like you're bound to have people listen and wonder like, oh, I wonder if like this relates to me, you know? and we are emotional beings. Like as much as people say like women are emotional, like men are emotional too. Like when they hear songs, like it just reaches a part, I think, of your, you know how we can only access part of your brain? I feel like for some reason when words are expressed in music, there's a part of our brain or a part of our hearts, I don't know what it is, or just our soul is just reached. And it's able to access like your most deepest like memories, feelings, everything. It's something that happens to you physically. And I don't mean to be like an arrogant human being. I'm sure there's like aliens and like I'm sure that animals have feelings too, but it's like in my knowledge, I feel like human beings are the only beings I know right now who can access music, move to it, cry to it, be angry to it, like respond to music. And I think that's more powerful than any like social media outlet where you can connect with people instantly. But music, like someone can be thousands of miles away in the Philippines and you're in America as like this brown lady, like talking about the issues that they're facing. Like that's so powerful, like for them to be like, holy shit, people care about me, like people care about what's happening here. And especially with it being martial law, like now it's like a reminder of my purpose as like an artist is now there's really a chance for me to connect with people like with this issue. And I don't think I want to take the time to be stagnant about it. Yeah.
So we're going to see more work from you.
Yes.
Yes.
I have to. And I'm going to the Philippines soon. Like, of course, I want to prepare something for them. Like, when I'm there, I don't want to have, because you know how it is when they're just like, you're going to sing tonight. And you're like, ah.
Yeah. So, question. All right. We're going to have to kind of start closing out.
I know.
But
yeah,
I like to start closing out with my round of 3 advice for the younger self. So, what are 3 pieces of advice that you can give to, let's see, somebody who's maybe the youngin who not necessarily knows everything about their Filipina side, but maybe is in like a little club at school, who likes to sing, who likes to dance. What are 3 pieces of advice you would give to the young Filipina American Pinay in general?
Oh, I wish I could say more than 3. Okay, 1.
Yes, 1.
I'll do 3, but
okay.
Number 1.
Yes.
Oh, like as a youth.
Excuse me.
Like, you know what? Like in the work we do, like where we think about like the YS as like the future, like youth and students, meaning youth and students as like the future of our world. And I'll say like as a youth, like you have like as a student, you have the resources, you have the friends, the supporters, your family, and you also have the energy that the older generation doesn't. So you need to be decisive on how you decide to use that energy and that excitement to live your life. Are you going to use it to be selfish and be like, me, let me get to the top? Or are you going to use that energy to serve a larger purpose outside of yourself? because I think the youth always are at a crossroads. Do I serve myself or do I serve others? And you have that privilege to choose. And I wish I could tell that younger me, or if I'm advising like any like Pinay out there, is you have power that you can exercise that can really serve others. So do that. Yeah, don't waste your life like being selfish.
So that's
That's
one.
one. Second, I'm gonna cry. You are beautiful and valuable. Because the reason why I will emphasize that one is because, like, I think in a society with quick innovation and technological advances, and even before that, it's just deeply ingrained in our society that femininity is not valued. And when it is valued, it is continuously like demeaned or sexualized. And I want women to understand that there is hope for a world in which you can live freely without being afraid of how you look to others. And a life where you can live freely and happily without feeling like you need someone to complete you. Because I think like movies and music always say like, you complete me, I'm nothing without you, I have nothing if I don't have you. Whitney Houston, Sarah, shout out. But like, I love Whitney, but shit, like, you are whole, Whitney. You did not need problematic ass Bobby. But like, yeah, I think what women have to offer the world, their love, compassion, giving life to other human beings, that is, and to be able to be continuously like put down in so many ways is so resilient. Like, women are the backbone of this world. And I want them to understand that that is beautiful and that is valuable. And then third would be third.
The final third. The Holy Trinity. What is that piece of advice? Because you had a strong second. That's a strong second.
Yeah, that was a strong second one.
Oh, I see it.
Do not value hard work by how much money you can make, but, or no, how about scratch that? That's important too.
That's 3.5.
Yeah, but because
That's
like
addendum.
I was learning something in like my gender class about like how women like economic work is seen as work, but then like domestic work is not seen as work, like in the home, because they're like, oh, that's natural for you because you're a mom, and it's like, but that's work shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, lastly, I should have had the beautiful and valuable one last. But lastly, stay Pinay through and through. And I think that this comes also from like influence from like mainstream society, as well as like, you know, like continuous like colonialism and like imperialism, which like devalues like these ideas of conserving and protecting not only your Filipino identity, but the well-being of your people. And I think it's like, don't forget where you came from. Don't forget that like there were people who fought for you to live. Like, remember when I said I like contribute my existence to our ancestors? Like, there were people who fought for you to live. So don't forget that. And whenever you find a moment to remind yourself, channel the love from your ancestors so that you can do good in this world. So that generations and generations from now, they will remember and remind themselves of what you did for them to exist. Because there are always going to be people that will challenge our existence as brown people who may not even want us to exist in this world. And there are people who have expressed that, and they've acted upon it. So let's not forget that, there were people fighting for us to be here. And let's continue to do that so that our people can flourish and be happy generations to come.
Boom.
Yes.
So, recap. One was
you have your energy.
You have your energy.
So use it to serve others rather than be self-serving.
2
is you are beautiful and valuable.
And 3
is do not forget that there were people who fought for your existence. Don't forget where you came from. And who you came from.
Oh, the ancestors and lineage. Boo, mind blown. I feel like this is one of those podcasts that I'll definitely like listen through and then sit with a bit like, and then listen to again, just like, and then fast forward the times where I was being a bad host.
It's okay. We're always learning, always remolding, always remolding.
Just kidding. I'm not a bad host. I'm a pretty good host. Just kidding. Okay.
Yeah, thanks for the water and the tea, providing the guitar for me to use.
Yo, I think what threw me off in the middle was it got hot. I changed shirt if you didn't notice because I was pawis.
And then it just caused you to rant on and on.
Yeah, and like get kind of lost in a little bit. It was too much caffeine, and then
you're wired and then hot,
and not enough real water, so I'm not really hydrated. It's okay. But awesome. Thank you for coming. Do you have any last message? For the
yes.
world?
Like we were saying, the Philippines is in martial law, right?
Yes.
We don't know what to expect. I'm going to the Philippines for a second time this year, this time with the League of Filipino Students for our annual exposure trip. It's the first time in 4 years that we are doing this again. I'm very excited, but I know a lot of people are worried. But at the same time, like the people, our families, our comrades, our kasamas are our best defense because we know we're doing good work. We're on the right side. And I think one thing I would like to tell you is that I'm leaving in a couple weeks and we are fundraising.
Yes.
So if you would like to donate, we have a couple of events coming up. Saturday, I have a 20-minute set with my fellow delegate, Raymond, who is our chairperson of LFS. We'll be performing at the Mission Cultural Center for Latino Arts in the Mission District. And it's a sliding scale, $5 to $15, but no one will be turned away for lack of funds. I'm performing for 20 minutes on Saturday. 100% of the proceeds will be going to the League of Filipino Students exposure trip.
So that means I have to get this podcast off by before Saturday.
Okay, well then if you would like to donate, you can Venmo me at Katrina Liwanag, and we also have a You Caring page, but I don't memorize your URL, so maybe
I'll
just
try to put
a
link on it onto the blog post.
Yeah, because I feel like people would have to read it anyway, because if I say it really fast, they'll be like, what'd you say? So yeah, we have a You Caring page. I know it takes like 3% off, but still, we need all the money we can get because we are leaving in 2 weeks. One of our other delegates, he's leaving in 9 days. And yeah, we really need all the help we can get. Also, June 14th, we have a despedida, which is like a goodbye party, like seeing us off. It will be held at the FCC on June 14th from 6 p.m. until whatever. So we will be having like food, cultural sharings, basically like an introduction about what we'll be doing on the exposure trip, what the exposure trip will entail, and then also talk about martial law. Probably have like a, what do you call it? A primer type of thing. And then probably continue it elsewhere after we need to leave the FCC. Haha, wink, wink. But yes, hang out with us, build with us before we go to the Philippines, because we are going to be continuing the work for the YS here in America, because I know that it's like kind of like walking on eggshells in regards to like martial law. People are feeling a little nervous, understandably so, but we understand that we need to go back home and make sure that our kababayan are okay.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you for coming on, Miss Katrina Liwanag. You can follow her on Trina Cheska. That is on Instagram. I'll be linking it on. What is your YouTube channel? Just search for Katrina Liwanag. Search for Katrina Liwanag.
No, it's youtube.com/123 Hurricane Katrina.
Hurricane Katrina. Whoa, that is problematic.
I was in high school. I was a sophomore in high school when I made that name. Just at Trina Cheska on Instagram, please.
Boom. And all of these links will be on KuyaChris.com.
Yay.
With the logo that was originally taken the picture by Miss Katrina Liwanag. Thank you. Peace.
Peace.